There are tons of videos out there that teach you how to layer a million sounds to create this huge, overwhelming soundscape. But what if it's about embracing silence and being meticulous with what you choose to make your audience hear? Let's explore how to make your film stand out by not over-designing your sound. We've all seen those intense moments in films where the absence of music creates an almost unbearable tension. Think about the famous scenes in Kill Bill during the showdown at the House of Blue Leaves, or the intense silence in No Country for Old Men that makes you hold your breath. These movies all masterfully use silence to make the moments where the music does kick in even more impactful. Silence allows you to focus on subtleties, and it can make the eventual entrance of the music feel like a breath of fresh air. Let's talk about using sounds in unexpected places. Foley artists do this all the time, using creative combinations to craft a sound that's not what you'd expect. For instance, a zipper can become the sound of a motorcycle passing by. Or a thunderstorm crackling could represent something entirely different, like a sound of an engine being switched on. It's all about experimenting with layering and finding that perfect blend. And if you can't find the right sound that represents what you envision, then sometimes recording your own sounds can be a really great way to create something unique and tailored to your own project. Now, I'm not a professional sound designer, so what I'm sharing here is just my perspective, but the beauty of sound design is that it's incredibly subjective, and you can be literal with your sounds if you want, or you can go completely abstract. The important part is that your sounds should serve your story first and foremost. So don't feel pressured to just add layers upon layers of sound just because everyone else is doing that, because sometimes, especially with sound design, less can definitely be more. Searching through vast libraries of unorganized sound bits can be really time-consuming and very frustrating, especially when trying to find abstract sounds that match the emotions or feelings we try to convey. This is where Audiio comes in. They're now offering an incredible lifetime deal. For just $199, you get a lifetime access to their entire sound effects library. Audiio has recently expanded their library from 30,000 to over 300,000 high-quality sound effects. There are no recurring fees, just one-time payment for unlimited use of their entire sound effects collection. Their advanced search capabilities help you find sounds based on emotions and abstract concepts, and not just literal descriptions. But don't worry if you miss out on this lifetime deal. The Audiio Pro plan still offers incredible value, including both unlimited sound effects downloads and access to their extensive music library, AI-powered search features like Link Match AI, and the Elements that allows you to customize any music from Audiio. Plus, you can still get a 70% discount on your first year with Audiio Pro, making it a very affordable option for those of you who prefer recurring plan. Audio's comprehensive platform will elevate your audio game for sure. And I'm not saying this to you because they are sponsoring this video, but rather they are sponsoring this video because I use their platform so extensively. So check out the link in the description and experience the difference for yourself. And sound design doesn't just stop at picking the right sound. Post-production treatment is where you can really make it shine. One of my go-to techniques is panning, using stereo to indicate where the sound is coming from, whether it's coming from the left or right. This adds a bit of depth and dimension to your scenes, making it feel more dynamic. Then there is reverb, which is crucial for creating a sense of space. The amount of echo can vary depending on what materials are used to treat the room. For example, a small room with a lot of rugs and soft furniture can have no echo at all, while a large empty hall with a lot of marble flooring and walls will have lasting, trailing echo. These details are subtle, but they can make a world of difference in how your audience perceives a scene. Now let's dive into one of my commercial projects. I want to show you how me and my sound designer Arsène, we used sound design to enhance our storytelling. Right, so now let's have a look at what it consists of, and my sound designer Arsène sent me the entire breakdown of his timeline so that we can now have a look at his process. So we start with just the room ambience and the treadmill sounds. We added some fire crackling sounds, but it's super subtle that you don't really notice it, but it's there. And then we add footsteps as she steps off the treadmill and walks up to the window. And then we also added some clothes rustling because she's wearing that sports nylon attire. And now for the slow-mo impact, when she opens up the window, we throw in this bassy sound to show the time slowing down. So it's this huge impact. And this is a more intense shot in the commercial, so we make it more layered. We mix in different wind sounds and traffic noise to emphasize how really unpleasant it is outside. And if you notice, there's also a sound of her scared sigh because she doesn't expect it to be so harsh out there. And then we just accentuate the click of the window being closed. And so now when she turns on the AC, there's obviously a branded digital sound signaling that it's on now. And we slowly start foreshadowing her fantasy by throwing in some photo flash sounds. And then we finally turn on the music as it takes her into her fantasy world where she is this supermodel. It's so important to only bring the music here and not before, because otherwise it loses a lot of its impact. And so Arsène threw in some of his party tricks with this EQ effect so that the music kind of starts very bassy and slowly opens up in its full colors. So then we layer this part with some more sounds of cameras flashing and the crowd cheering as if she's the celebrity walking up to her fans. This is all in her imagination. And then to turn the music off, we use a lot of risers that make the viewer anticipate the change in pace, and then it just suddenly switches off. And we cut back to reality and hear the room tone again with the treadmill, only this time we don't really hear the sounds of the fire, of the heat. I think it's important to note here that my sound designer Arsène is using Nuendo, which is a very advanced audio treating software, but you don't really have to do it in Nuendo or use any of these very advanced plugins. I think a lot of what's being done here, you can achieve very similar results in something like Premiere or Final Cut or even DaVinci here. All it takes is a bit of creativity, a bit of mixing, a bit of layering, and you really just have to be aware what the sound is doing in a given scene. And one important thing to note, though, is even if I give these projects to my sound designer to perfect them, it does not mean that the sounds I use are not the final sounds or sound bits, because a lot of the times my sound designer will just use whatever I have laid out previously, just making it all flow together perfectly well, mixing and mastering all the little details so that they sound in harmony with each other. But the sound bits themselves, I typically pay very close attention to the detail that I hear in the sound bits. So to all the beginners out there, sound design is very important, but it doesn't need to be very complicated. And as greatest Walter Murch once said, sound is the greatest way to let your audience see. So keep it simple, keep it intentional, and let your audience truly experience your film.